So I want to welcome you all here to the Central Branch Library here in the William Saroyan Gallery. It's fitting because we have all kinds of art exhibitions here, and today it's particularly special because I got a different kind of art. It's poetry, brought to you by the National Endowment for the Arts. They're the ones who provide us a grant to do this big read every year. And what they do is they select a book. The whole purpose of the initiative that this National Endowment for the Arts has, the whole purpose of the grant is to bring together communities and to make us kind of reflect on ourselves, on who we are as people, and bring us all together. And they do that by having a good book, having us all share an experience. And in this case, this year, it's through prose and poetry. The book they've chosen is called Citizen: An American Lyric. It's by a Jamaican-born author. She's a playwright, an educator, a poet, of course, because this is a book of poetry and prose. Her name is Claudia Rankine.
As we know, discussions about race and racism can be very difficult and even uncomfortable. And we tend to shy away from it, in our communities. However, the book Citizen encourages us, the reader, to think critically about race. And in so doing, it exposes their perversiveness of systematic racism. Some of these racist encounters, if you've read the book, you'll probably see yourself in some of those encounters.
I think these lines are very important. You have to learn not to absorb the world. Sometimes I can hear my own voice saying slightly to whomever, "You are saying this thing, and I am not going to accept it. I refuse to carry what doesn't belong to me. You take in things you don't want all the time, some ordinary moment, all its intended targets. All the meanings come into focus. Hold up." I think that is very, very powerful because we do take in a lot of this world and we don't necessarily understand it in the moment, but then later on it all starts to pile up when we think, wow, these microaggressions really do change the way we act. Whether we realize it or not, subconsciously and consciously, it really affects our actions.
This one's called In This Valley, There's a Home. It's here in this valley, this town off the 99, between city walls and open land that asks me nightly to repent or get swallowed up along streets littered with gangsters and drug paraphernalia. It's asphalt cracks laying before me filled with blood and dust and long lines of contempt. Here in the front yard, where at night my pop's high-bass voice once cracked against the shh of TV interference in the bedroom, pounding on the second-hand black and white. I said pounding on the second-hand black and white like he did me. Where mom's cooking went hand in hand with my hands, mixing the masa, gathering the spices, cooking the meat. As Motown's greatest croon from the old radio with the broken antenna, foil wrapped around its severed edge, in a corner of a small kitchen, in the back of an even smaller house. Its air moist, her breath warm against my face. Here at Einstein Park, where I, the young poet, first kissed a girl in my 6th grade class who smelled of shampoo and talcum powder. The simple way her hair was straight and soft, and mine kinky and coarse. Did she know my fixed stare and deliberate voice? Old Spice cologne with shaky knees, looking not for love, but for escape.
So I grew up in Parlier from a migrant family, and this was before child labor laws, so we were all working in the fields. And many times I had to translate for my mom, my dad. And I remember just kind of dealing with some overt racism and then also the microaggressions. And so when I read this book, it just kind of brought a lot of that back. I remember a man asked me, "What is your name?" And I said, Aurora. And he said, "What kind of wetback name is that?" And I didn't know how to respond. I was just frozen, so I just mumbled, "I don't know," because I was only 8 years old. And they don't teach you at the age of 8 how to respond to those things, or at least they didn't back then. And then there's just little things like, you know, even as an adult when someone will say, oh, you speak so eloquently. And I say, thank you. And then later on I'll be in my car and what did they mean by that? Did they mean for a Mexican? I don't know.